Hey, what's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to the Living Vivaciously podcast. I'm your host, Marina Gergis, and today's episode is about the big question of should I start another account? So, if you've been feeling like the account that you have is stale, it doesn't represent who you are, you feel like you don't want to even show up on that account, like that's how bad it is. Or maybe you're tired of the audience that you currently have because it mainly consists of friends and family and people you don't even want seeing your content, like your exes, for example, which by the way, we need to talk about that. Like you got to get rid of those people or your high school friends that you're like, I haven't even talked to this person in 10 years. Yeah, it's about time to clear out that follower following list. Side note. Or you maybe want to change the direction your business and brand is going. Maybe you want to launch something completely different and new. I mean, I have personally been through all of this, so I feel you and I understand how conflicting it is to try to decide if you should start a whole new account and start over from scratch, especially with the algorithm right now. And, if people are just, they don't have that kind of time. I actually started my account as a beauty influencer back then when I was in uni. And before that, I was just like buying all these products and talking about different products and trying to be a beauty influencer. And then I went into the travel realm of things. And like, yeah, my account has gone through so many different changes. And it kind of led me to where I am right now. And by the way, I never switched my accounts. It was the same account. I just changed my handle like a gazillion times to fit where I was. And I kind of took my audience on a journey with me. But it wasn't until I started building my personal brand and understanding the power of personal branding and understanding what it is that I want to talk about and what is my core messaging that actually things clicked, and not only clicked with me, but clicked with my audience. And I started growing and getting opportunities for what I want to be teaching and how I want to be making money. So I feel like a lot of people are confused about, well, I need to just be niche and doing one thing on one account so that I can get clients and then have another account where I get to talk about my personal life and the things that actually interest me. Well, on this podcast and in this side of the world, we don't do things that way. I believe in our multifacetedness and multi passionateness. And I believe that they all could be in one cohesive brand. So, we're going to be talking about this all throughout different podcast episodes. But for today, we're going to be focusing on when is it time for you to start another account and how to decide if you should be a personal brand versus a business brand. Which, by the way, I have an amazing blog article. I'll leave the link in the description where you could go and read about the pros and cons of each of those accounts. I'm not going to dive into that really today so that we can focus on how can you make that aligned decision to know if it's time for switching your accounts or starting a new one or having two or being a personal brand or a business brand. So that's going to be the focus. And then I'm also going to touch on personal brand boundaries and what is too personal with your content. Like, how do you know, like, you're crossing the line? Because I feel like that keeps a lot of people stuck in the idea that they can't be a personal brand or that is them being an influencer or that crosses their boundaries. So they end up not creating a personal brand and just hiding behind their logos. So we'll dive into all of this today. So first, let's start to talk about when do you know it is time for you to ditch the brand that you have to start another account. Okay. And I'm talking mainly about Instagram. So I'm not saying you're going to ditch your whole brand. I'm just going to talk about when is it time to start another account. The first question I would like to ask you and that I ask all of my clients is, do you have the capacity for another brand, for another account? So if the answer is no, or I don't have the time to be juggling two different accounts and creating content on two different accounts, then it is clear that you probably should not switch to have another account. So if you're thinking about running two separate accounts at the same time versus, okay, I will delete the old one and flow with a new one and start to build a new audience on there. The other question is, do you feel like the account that you have right now prevents you from showing up as your true, authentic self? Like when you come to create an Instagram story, for example, do you overthink who's going to be seeing that and what are they going to think of you? Because I'll tell you from my personal experience that showing up right now has been so easy that I've blocked people that I used to care so much about their opinion and blocked family that I don't want really seeing my, personal brand content. Not that this is not my authentic self. And actually, I have a rule where I don't allow boyfriends or dates to follow my personal brand account. I actually have a separate friends account where all the friends that I meet on my travels and dates and boyfriends and family and all this get to follow me on that account. But my personal brand account is mainly for people that inspire me, my clients, and the audience that I want to engage with. So if you feel like when you're coming to create an Instagram story or a post and you're thinking about what will this person think of me and you have a person in mind, I've heard it from my clients. They usually have a person in mind. Like, I don't want my ex-husband, my ex-boyfriend seeing this kind of content or seeing that I'm having too much fun. I don't want my family to think this or that. I don't want my high school friends to be judging me because they used to think of me as this one way and now you're someone else. Or maybe you feel like people will perceive you as showing off. When you have audience on there that is coming to learn from you and to experience you as you fully, you don't get these thoughts. So you could either go and clean out your follower list. So you could easily do that from your account, or you could start a brand new account because at the end of the day, that's the point. If you're unable to show up fully as yourself, to share the different aspects of your life, then what is the point of having this account? The other thing is you could go the route of just creating a business account and completely hiding who you are and just sharing your expertise. But again, if you have the wrong audience, you're going to start thinking like, oh, no one likes my content. No one needs my content. But it's just the wrong audience because you are talking to an audience that is not interested in what you have to share. They potentially will never start a business. If you're a business coach and you're creating content about business, or you're a mindset coach and the people that you have are like never going to invest in your services. Maybe they'll need it. Maybe that will help them. Actually, some of my first clients were my high school friends. So I'm not saying completely remove everyone. Maybe you want to just unfollow them. But I'm saying if they make you feel self-conscious and they stop you from showing up as yourself, delete them, remove them, start a new account. And there is something really beautiful about also starting from scratch. So if you're that kind of person who's like, I want to burn it all to the ground and start all over, like fresh start, do that. And what happens is when you create content about the same things, you start to get an audience that is interested in that thing. And then you can diversify later. So if you are a service provider, having a personal account that revolves around your expertise is incredible. And then you sprinkle in your personal life stuff in your stories. So like I always say, party in the stories, business in the feed. That's where people come in not knowing much about you. And that's where you want to warm them up, make them problem aware of like, this is how I can help you. This is what's going on. This is why your brand is not growing. And then in your stories, you're nurturing these people. You're showing them who you are. Actually, this is part of the InstaSite strategy that we've created, me and Amanda Kohol, in our joint product called the InstaSite 2.0, where we basically teach you how to use your feed as a website. So when people land there, they know exactly who you are, what you're about, who do you help, what are your core topics, how can you help people, and what kind of services do you offer? So then when they go and step into your Instagram story world, that's where you can convert them. So if you're interested in that, I'll also leave the link in the description below so that you can check out this product. It's a self-paced product and it's really, really amazing. It comes with template for you to actually execute the strategy with so much ease. But let's go back to when is it time to do that? So the other time I could think of when you would want to start a new account is if you're changing the direction of your brand completely. Let's say that you have started your account as a business account and a business brand. So I'm not talking about the account setting, by the way. Let's clarify that. I'm talking about the kind of content you are sharing on Instagram. So if you set it up to where you're just sharing your expertise, your products, your services, maybe you have a logo instead of your face, there's nothing on this account that's about you. It's very, very service niche focused. And let's say you want to change the direction and you want to go from, let's say, specifically focusing on fitness to focusing on personal brand development, for example. And you're like, okay, these two don't go together. Do I start a new account or do I just transition the one that I have right now? It's going to be up to you because if it was very business oriented and very much focused on fitness, it's going to be difficult to bring that audience on to another part of the journey, especially if you want to go all in on personal brand development and you want people to hire you for that service. So in this case, I would recommend starting a new account so that you can grow an audience that is interested specifically in that new service and direction that you want to pursue with your brand. And it's just going to make it much easier for you, less confusion. And you could keep the other one. Also, you might want to pick that up later on. You might want to create some passive products. But again, I want you to always remember the question of, do I have the capacity to run two Instagram accounts? And if you have any other questions about this, feel free to DM me or leave it in the question box that is going to be below this episode if you're watching in Spotify. There's also another situation that I often hear my clients talk about is when they're just annoyed that people are not engaging. This is not very much about like changing your account or starting a new one or not, but it goes back to the point of like, if you're very concerned that the people that are following you are judging you, you're also probably concerned that why are the people who are following you not engaging? So here's another situation where you might want to start another account or just develop the mindset of not giving a fuck. Because I've heard it from my clients who are frustrated with their audience not engaging with them. They're like, yeah, I put a question box and no one puts any questions. I put up a poll and no one engages. I do this and no one does that. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. Are you really waiting for people to engage with you so that you can show up? That's the first question. The second question is, how long have you been on this account sharing expert content? And why are there people on there that maybe you know that won't resonate? Just take them off. Again, I'm coming back to the same advice here of like, if there are people that annoy you and you know who they are, remove them. It's okay to do that. Here's your permission slip. Remove them and also think about the new people coming into your world and think about how you can encourage engagement. So it's more about you showing up in your power, in your expertise, and showing people how to engage with you versus waiting for people to engage with you and spending hours just getting frustrated that people are not putting a question in your question box. So what? Not everyone's always going to want to engage, and not everyone who's buying from you is engaging with you. And that I say from experience. So moving on to the next point of, do you start a personal brand or do you focus on building a business brand? So if you're a product-based business, meaning that if you have a physical product that you ship to people, it could be candles, it could be lipsticks or hair products, then you must have a business account where you show people what the brand is, what the business brand is. That's where you want to have your logo as your picture. You want your bio to talk about the products, and you want your feed to be showcasing user-generated content, which is content that comes strictly from your consumer. You want to share lifestyle content that showcase your product in the situation it would be used in, like someone lighting up their candle during their morning routine, for example. And basically also showcasing the beauty of your products and how do they look like. If you're a product-based business, you want a business brand for sure. But if you really want to bring up that to the next level, I recommend also starting a personal brand account that is your account, the founder's account, where you get to talk about yourself, how you use your own products, what's amazing about them, the behind the scenes, and really bring people on that journey of you being the founder of this brand. A good example of this is Mariana Hallett, and she is the co-founder of Summer Fridays, which is a beauty brand. She's an influencer herself and basically drives traffic from her personal brand to her business brand, which is Summer Fridays. And people are like obsessing over these products whenever she uses them. She doesn't even do any call to action. She'll just have the products. She's using them in her morning routine. And then people are curious and it looks good on her. So they go and check out the business account. So you want to think about it in that way. How can your personal brand be the funnel to your business brand? You could still do this if you are a service provider. However, if you only have the capacity for one account, as a service provider, I recommend going with a personal brand rather than a business brand. Because let's say later down the line, you don't want to offer nutrition coaching or you don't want to offer personal brand coaching and you want to go into a whole different realm of things, you're able to switch from that niche and that service to something else without feeling like, oh my God, my audience is not going to be interested in what I have to say. Rather, you are basically showcasing a lot of different parts of who you are and different aspects of your expertise too, while making people understand that this is what I'm offering right now. So as a service provider, this is going to be incredible for you. However, if your thing is just to like make money, provide a service, and this is your best way of communicating, which by the way, if you haven't listened to my episode on how your natural way of communicating helps you create authentic content, you should go check it out because it's going to help you a lot with also determining what kind of content to create for these accounts. So basically, if you want to have that flexibility, you want to create a personal brand as a service provider. If you feel like you don't want to share much about who you are and you think you won't switch, or when you do switch directions, you will probably create another account, then maybe you want to have a very niche business account where you just share information. So think about it that way. What do I want from this account within 5 years, for example? Will I still be wanting to offer the same services and products as I am right now? Do I want people just to come to me for a specific offer and service? Or do I feel excited about showing up and sharing more about my life, about being a personal authority on something specific in your industry and niche? If you want to be known as a thought leader in your industry about certain things, then your best bet is to start a personal account and basically drive people from there to your funnels and products, whether that's by creating another account or basically that's what I do. I have a hybrid account where I show up as Marina Gerges as a personal brand, yet I funnel people into my different offers and services, whether it's a retreat or a digital product or a coaching service or the podcast. I give people what they need based on what my business goals are. I hope that helped you basically understand which one to go for. And when in doubt, just start one. And I would hope it's your personal brand because it's always just easier to switch when you have a personal brand. But again, think about what is the purpose behind why you're showing up on social media and what kind of brand you have. So let's talk a little bit about the personal brand boundaries that you would need so that you don't burn out and you don't feel too exposed, because I hear that from people too, is that they feel like they don't want to put out their dirty laundry for the whole world to see. And really, personal branding is not about sharing everything in your life. It's about discernment. It's about knowing what relates to your core topics, what relates to the messaging you want to send people. It's picking and choosing what parts of your journey relate to what you're selling, for example. What parts of your journey will your audience resonate with and make them move to a different direction within their own journey? It will inspire them. It will make them want to work with you. It will make them change directions. It will help them think differently. So you're not just sharing to share or sharing to flex. You are sharing with purpose and understanding what parts of your story and what parts of your personal life relate to your business is super important. You might be interested also in listening to my podcast episode with Sina on this, where we talk about the boundaries in your personal brand and how much you can share that feels good. Also, think about not sharing from a place of complaining. Like there's something you want to complain about. Maybe you want to journal about that or talk to a professional in your life. Rather, use the space that you have online to channel your opinions in a productive way because you are presenting, let's say, a counter opinion or a hot take versus you are complaining about what's going on in the industry that you don't like. So make sure it is productive and it moves your audience to a different direction or a different way of thinking. And also, you really don't need to share much about your personal life. I know it looks like we know people when we see their stories and that we know so much about their life. I think people think they do that about my brand. And I like sharing a lot actually from my personal life, but it's not everything. It's what I chose to share with people. And I know why I'm sharing it because it's creating some sort of transparency and inspiration about you could live this way too. And I also share the good with the bad. I don't just present this ideal life of like someone who's traveling nonstop and living abroad and running an online business. So that's also another trap that people fall into is like presenting a lifestyle that it's fake. It's like not even you. So the more real it is, the easier it is for you to show up and continue showing up and sharing with your audience, and your audience will resonate. So think about what you share, whether it's something bright and inspiring or sad and maybe a little bit darker. Think about what is the end purpose of this and how does it move my audience to be inspired, to take action, or to work with me. So that's some work that we do when you work with me one-on-one. We look at the messaging and we look at how we can create personal brand pillars for you to share your lifestyle, to share who you are and your journey without it being the focus and the center that makes people think like, do I even trust this person as an expert? Do I know what to refer her to other people for? If you want people to still know what you're about, to trust you as an expert, to want to work with you. So we're going to dive into that in some other episodes. But if you want to do that kind of work with me, you check out my links and check out my resources that we will leave in the description below. And thank you for joining me in this episode. If you liked it, please rate it, share it with people in your community. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye.